Okay, abusuya ba mu akwa abasronko so ereba POG Media so abusuya yembo nra yensemu aye breaking news bi aba eno na just say ya project say e de ato ye screen no enchen no enye asem keto akwa chama Wontumi sisi ade ne ho akire na sisi a adwendwene ene pressure e won so no enye pressure keto na no ada yedi kan de brem national security for boru and fee say omoko akwa arrest na chairman Wontumi esun ya na ofre NPP foot soldiers omomra na te say omomra meta na chi a enye izi kra no akwa kopie mu court no kopie mu court no omieredi the that screen in China. Wontumi granted bail with 2 sureties after being charged with unauthorized mining. Abusuya mienu na te say ya project ato ye screen in China. Mommy also ready the edaso no. Wontumi charge NPP Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Entry Bosiakon aka Chairman Wontumi charged with mining without authorization, granted policy inquiry bail. Ebusuya we need breaking news or what see a Chairman Wontumi ya granting the bail bet asem no yenwie ka say ye de charges abona enye easy kra we need breaking news lawyer Martin Kwebu de ensem bi aba betudwa afa ho a yensem mmre no me yenko na yenkonkoti ensem a ekoso ho ansa na ebeko no say ensem kan bi afa share your comment section like na share ma afofro so ensa into me enkebi POG Media so political trending stories are make waves so ya atum say
has been slapped on him is mining in unauthorized mining. Was that part of the issues you had concerns with earlier when you were calling for the police to investigate him?
Yes, absolutely. You know, when we say illegal mining, right, it covers a lot of things. You heard him say that he gave some people opportunity, right? He applied. What he's saying is that he applied to the Forestry Commission and he hadn't heard from them. And so if somebody is mining, the person must have been mining illegally. Look, Martin, cut to the chase. We have drone footages, pictures showing Akunta mining vehicles and their officers. They were even resisting the Forestry Commission officials. Number 2, Martin, you had Abu Jinapo, Minister for Lands and Forestry, come to say that Akunta Mining had no license to do what they were doing. You also had the matter of the Minerals Commission. Martin Isi came out to say the same thing. Forestry Commission came out to say the same thing. These officers, thankfully, are alive, so they will come and testify. Chairman Wontumi is, it's normal that an accused person usually would try to deny the offense, etc. But when we get into court, and even before the videos are played to him, thankfully, in Ghana's current law, he will be given what we call criminal disclosures. So the video footages, etc., will be given to him before. Then he will see Akunta mining vehicles. You will see car number. Who is this car registered to? And other sources of evidence, his employees in the videos. So this one is just brinkmanship. It's normal for an accused to deny. But when we get into the box, we'll see. So Martin, this is a case of Christmas come early. Yes, I dare say this is Christmas come early for Ghanaians.
Right.
But today, accountability is coming to Chairman Wontumi, and it's a strength of our democracy.
And would this stick, this particular charge, are you optimistic that it will stick? And is this based off on the fact that vehicles supposedly belonging to his company and or individuals supposedly working for his company may have been breaching the law, so because of that, he is indirectly expected to be guilty or supposed to be guilty?
Yes, I'm confident the charges will stick, extremely. Martin, let's not make light of the fact that Abujinapo, Minister for Lands and Forestry, granted an interview and said Akonta Mining had no license to enter Tanonimre Forest. Please, viewers, you can Google it. It's online. Right. Martinez also came out. Forestry Commission came out. They will not come and start answering hypothetical questions. When these big leaders of their institutions came out, they were not answering hypothetical questions. It was put to them that Chairman Wontumi and Akonta Mining are in the Tanonimre Forest, and they were answering those specific ones, believing that that was Akonta Mining. So these big people will come to court to testify. Look, it's brinkmanship. It's normal. Any experienced criminal defense lawyer will tell you that usually the accused will will deny the offense, because in law, it is the duty of the state to prove to him that he's committed an offense.
Right.
So it's when you show him the evidence, then he has to admit. So let's be patient.
Okay.
Christmas comes early.
All right. Mr. Kwebu, thank you so much for your time. Certainly, like you indicated, it's a developing story, so we'll certainly keep a close eye on it for you subsequently.
In more news tonight, lawyer of the former Signals Bureau Director and his spouse, Samuel Atachia, has noted that his clients are not considering any plea bargain, maintaining that his clients are innocent. Earlier, the Accra High Court ordered the defense counsel not to indulge in any plea deal agreement until prosecution has filed, and accordingly served them with the full disclosures they will rely on. A report by Lord Idwasari.
The case was called on Monday, May 26. Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Remsai pleaded with the court to be given more time to file the state's disclosures after failing to meet the deadline given by the court. He explained that the investigator on the matter was temporarily unavailable and will be available on Friday. Lead counsel for Kwabena Duboahin, Samuel Atachia, did not oppose the plea. The presiding judge, John Nyedu Nyante, then ordered the disclosures be filed by June 2nd. The judge also ordered counsel for the accused persons to engage in plea bargain discussions with the prosecution only after the Attorney General has filed and served the disclosures. Prior to his decision, the lawyers for both parties were seen conversing outside the courtroom, followed by a private sidebar meeting with the presiding judge. Commenting on the development, however, Samuel Atachia maintained that his client is innocent and dismissed any considerations of a plea bargain.
Would you consider that?
No. There's nothing on the table for us to plea bargain. It's a variable in the case management process. Yeah, it's a variable. So he's thinking elastic, but we've not made any overtures relating to plea bargain. Right.
The Deputy Attorney General, in an earlier discussion with the media on a separate matter, had indicated that some accused persons had approached the Attorney General for a plea bargain deal.
A number of people have approached us with offers, some including money being returned, and we have agreed with some of them, and some of them have agreed to be witnesses for us against some of the accused persons.
It remains to be seen if this option will be explored by the defense in the former Signals Bureau Director's case. Hearing of the case has been adjourned to June 10. Lord Idwasari, 2-3 News, Accra.
The government of Ghana has approved a strategic exemption of electricity bills for selected state institutions following a cabinet decision chaired by President John Dramani Mahama himself. The initiative, announced by the Minister for Energy and Green Transition, Dr. John Abdullahi Jinapo, is aimed at ensuring uninterrupted service delivery to critical sectors, including security, health and education. The policy, which takes immediate effect, will see the Ministry of Finance absorb the electricity costs through budgetary allocations. The exemptions are strictly limited to core operational units, excluding auxiliary and non-essential facilities. Institutions covered under the exemption is what I'll be taking you through shortly, so you get to be on the same page with us. So the exempted institutions are: 1, the Office of the President, the Ministry of Defense, and under the Ministry of Defense, these are the specific areas that are exempt: the Military Intelligence, the National Defense Communications, and then the Emergency Systems Unit. They are exempt when you look at the Ministry of Defense. When you come to the Ministry of Interior, the exemption is limited to only the police and emergency response units, which means the barracks and all the other places, they now have to pay for themselves. Under the Ministry of Health, hospitals, theatres, blood banks, labs, wards, excluding staff housing and leisure spaces, are all exempted. When you come to the Ministry of Education, classrooms, lecture halls, universities and labs, and then research facilities, excluding dormitories and recreational areas, have all been exempted. And again, the Ministry of Interior, we're talking about the police, and then the emergency response units are those that are going to benefit from the exemptions that have been given by the state.
Let's now go to the Bono East region, where commuters have expressed widespread frustration and displeasure as a significant number of commercial drivers continue to disregard the GPRTU's directive for a 15% fare reduction. The drivers cite persistent and rising cost of spare parts as a primary reason for their defiance, claiming the reduction would cripple their operations.
Passengers who had eagerly anticipated the relief find themselves in confrontation with drivers who insist on charging the old fares.
They are still saying the same thing. So, let's say you have budgeted that from where that you are coming from. This is the fare that you will pay, and they've made the news that they will reduce the price. So you have made your budget, and now you have come to the station, and they're also saying another thing that they will buy NG on you, they will buy this, they will buy that.
Say AC now. When it happens like this, it's actually a problem, because when you're leaving the house, you budget your money, but you get to the station, they are saying something different. It's actually concerning. When I was coming from Akroma, the car I boarded told me they haven't reduced their fares, but here they have reduced theirs, and so if some have reduced theirs and some haven't, then it's actually a cheat. If it's regulatory, then everybody should abide. Drivers, however, paint a different picture. They argue that while fuel prices may have seen a reduction, the cost of maintaining their vehicles continue to skyrocket due to exorbitant spare parts prices. Our problem is not with the cut, but we are expecting that as they've reduced the fares, we expect the spare parts to also reduce their prices so that we can also be on the same level. But if fares are reduced and spare parts are still as expensive as they used to be, then we will be at the losing end. They've rolled out the regulations, but we are yet to abide by it because spare parts are still expensive. If we reduce our prices while there's no regulations on...
All right, hello there, good evening. Welcome to the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Now, consumer advocacy group CATS International is urging the government to strengthen public transport operations as fuel prices continue to fall. The call follows concerns that some commercial drivers are not complying with the GPRTU's directive to reduce fares by 15%.
Fuel prices in Ghana have declined 6 consecutive times since the beginning of the year. It is currently selling at 12 cedis 45 cents at some stations like Star Oil, down from about 15 Ghana cedis. The recent drop prompted the Ghana Private Road Transport Union (GPRTU) to announce a 15% reduction in fares after discussions with government. The new fares took effect on Saturday, but compliance has been patchy. In parts of the Ashanti region, for example, some transport operators ignored the directive, a move that has left many commuters frustrated.
And these same drivers who are not permitting the prices to fall so that consumers will benefit, they would also be expecting other service providers like PURC and others to also reduce their prices. I think it is very wrong. I mean, look at how the OMCs have been reducing their prices every 2 weeks. And next price window comes on, I think, over this coming weekend. And prices of fuel was going to fall down, between 6 to 10%.
To address the situation, the West Africa Director for CATS International, Apia Kusi Adumakon, says government must take a more active role in public transport delivery to ensure affordable and reliable options for commuters.
When you travel abroad and even most cities across Africa, the mass transit are run by the city. There's a policy reason why the government runs and controls the running of these buses. And I hope that this government would revamp the Ayalololo so that if Ayalololo was doing well and have reduced their prices by, let's say, 20%, we'll see that the truck drivers would also match their reduction, because if they don't match it, everybody will switch on to Ayalololo.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, has condemned the refusal of some of its members to comply with the directive to reduce fares by 15%.
Of our drivers are saying, yes, spare parts have not been reduced. It is only fuel, so there's no justification in reducing lorry. That is wrong. That is one of the components we use to run transport. So any of the components, I quite remember also there was a year with increased lorry fares due to high cost of living. We also stood on high cost of living and we increased lorry fares. I quite remember one of the increments we made. So when anybody says spare parts have not been taken, so on fuel alone, there's no justification on that. So we should stop saying that. And we are still pleading with them that with the explanation that each time we meet with the transport ministry, then the issue becomes law for all of us to comply.
President John Dramani Mahama has announced plans by government to reopen both the domestic and international capital markets geared towards revitalizing the bond market. Announcing an 8-point plan for economic reset, the president emphasized that future borrowing will be linked to self-financing and only commercially viable projects.
Speaking at the 9th Ghana CEO Summit, he outlined an 8-point agenda hinged on his economic reset, among which he emphasized the importance of maintaining strict fiscal discipline in government spendings and borrowing while working towards targets set under the extended credit fund of the IMF.
We're working to reopen Ghana's bond market in collaboration with the IMF and our development partners, the Ghana Stock Exchange and local banks. However, future borrowing will be linked to self-financing commercially viable projects, particularly by MDAs, MMDAs, and SOEs, ensuring value for money and sustainable repayment.
Ghana has been out of the capital market months ahead of going to the IMF, reaffirming its administration's dedication to fiscal discipline towards exiting the International Monetary Fund program by 2026. The president said fiscal recklessness will not be tolerated.
Despite these challenges, I remain optimistic. Ghana has what it takes to recover, not by repeating the past mistakes, but by learning from it and innovating for the future.
Since the assumption of office, there's been auditing of government's commitments, leading to a delay in releases from the Finance Ministry.
The Auditor General is completing an audit of arrears and commitments, government commitments, and we expect to receive his report by the end of May. We'll then commence to clear legitimate arrears transparently and enforce commitment controls through the gift mix and the IPSAS-based accounting systems. New projects will be prioritized based on need, funding availability, and alignment with our national interest.
The president praised the cedi performance, urging companies to reduce their prices to reflect the gains.
Let me take the opportunity to commend those of you who have responded to the cedi's appreciation by reducing prices of your products and services, and thereby passing some of the relief from the hardship to Ghanaians.
Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Johnson Isiama, dispelled suggestions that the Bank of Ghana was supporting the cedi rise with its reserves.
The Central Bank is not, and the not is in capital letters. The Central Bank is not using its international reserves to support the cedi, nor are we engineering an appreciation in the cedi that will not be sustainable. It's all market driven, and the strengthening of the currency reflects a blend of disciplined monetary policy, tailored foreign forex auction reforms, enhanced remittance channels, and stricter market surveillance.
Several CEOs were awarded, including Media General's Chief Executive Officer, Beatrice Ajiman, who was adjudged the CEO of the year 2024 media category in radio.
And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Up next.
Okay, Abusia winning and some so our political highway. So Chama Wontumi and the HS Yadena Honsem Ebrewa. Lawyer Martin people at the Emu and Chichimu at the buyer. But I must say some Japan Cocotiza Odui at the MI. Aha. APOG.